Holy Saturday is meant to be a day of mourning and uneasiness. Jesus died the day before on Good Friday, and so now on Holy Saturday, God is dead. And that should make us feel uneasy. That should make us feel uncomfortable. In many cultures, especially in Eastern Europe, it's a practice to fast, to completely fast from food from 3 o'clock on Good Friday, which is the time that Jesus died, until you've attended Mass for the celebration of Easter, which is generally the Solemn Easter Vigil on Holy Saturday. And so this is another way that certain cultures have adopted this kind of necessity for Holy Saturday to be a day of uneasiness, to be a day of uncomfortableness. And so that's just something to keep in mind. Actually, Holy Saturday is probably the best day above all to really take a cue from our Jewish brothers and sisters, especially our Orthodox and conservative Jewish brothers and sisters, and how they celebrate the Sabbath day. It's a day of complete rest, by some going so far as to not even flipping a light switch, that they just rest from everything. That's something we can do on Holy Saturday. The liturgy of Holy Saturday, the Solemn Easter Vigil, is really the climax of our whole liturgical year. And so I want to just quickly kind of walk through that liturgy. It begins outside the church, weather permitting here in Chicago. It depends year to year. But preferably it begins outside the church with a fire that's blessed by the priest. It becomes a holy fire. And from that fire we light the Paschal candle, the Easter candle, the candle we most notably see at the celebration of baptisms and at funerals, because it reminds us of the light of Christ that shatters the darkness. And from that candle we all light smaller candles, and as the priest and the clergy and the ministers enter a dark church, we light smaller candles that literally light up the church. And it's a visible representation of Christ's light shattering the darkness of sin. We then hear the readings that show us salvation history, beginning with the creation of the world, going to Abraham, our father in faith, to the great Exodus narrative of Moses freeing the Hebrews from slavery in Egypt. And then we hear more about exile and life in the old law from the prophets, ending with the Gloria. We hear the Gloria again that we haven't heard since Holy Thursday. And when the Gloria is sung, that's when Christ rises from the dead. That's our great moment to celebrate His triumphant resurrection. Candles are lit again, bells are ringing, the altar candles are lit. We see the beautiful sanctuary as the church lights are turned on, all the flowers and the gold banners and all that stuff. And we share in that great moment. We then hear an epistle from St. Paul about Christ being risen from the dead. We hear the gospel of a story of Jesus rising from the dead and meeting those. Generally, it's the story of Mary Magdalene. And then we celebrate the rites of Christian initiation. We see the sacraments of initiation performed: baptism, confirmation, First Holy Communion. We're reminded of ourselves, of our own baptism, and our mission to go and preach the word to all nations and baptize in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the great commission that Jesus gave His apostles and disciples after His resurrection. And so friends, if you can make it to the Solemn Easter Vigil on Holy Saturday, please go. It's a beautiful celebration. It's the climax of our liturgical year. It really puts our whole faith, our whole life of faith into perspective. And it's a celebration you'll never forget. Please know that you're all in my prayers, that you may have a blessed and happy Easter. May God continue to bless you all.